Yeah, let me pull up.
Maybe?
Oh, it's
Maybe
you.
not. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the I Can Do This All Day podcast. First episode of the year. Mark, the Resident Jedi, along with myself, Dan, the Part-Time Avenger, are back for another year of fun. And yeah, Mark, say hello.
Hello there. Is this the first episode of the year? I thought this was the second episode of the year.
I don't know. Maybe first, second. Who
First
gives a
and
shit?
second episode of the year. But we are back for another year. We didn't retire. I know there were calls for it, but we're back. We're still here, just like Rian Johnson, just like the Knives Out movies, and just like what we're here to talk about today. Wake Up Dead Man.
Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. I like the fact that they still feel the need to put in a Knives Out mystery on there just to relegate it and make sure that's like it's clear, 100% clear that this is related to that first movie that we really, really liked. But yeah, Benoit Blanc. We got a nice little James Bond coming back as Benoit Blanc. It's an interesting series of movies, all revolving around murder mystery. But before we get into the movie that we're reviewing today, Wake Up Dead Man, but why don't we just talk about our origin? Mark, what is your origin with the Knives Out series?
Saw the first one, I believe, in theaters. Um,
Mm.
I'm a big murder mystery fan. You say, oh, they just put the Knives Out mystery on there. That's a very Agatha Christie move, right? Because it's a Hercule Poirot mystery, and that was always done. I like even the old books and stuff. I think that the way some of these murder mystery stories are woven together is super fun to kind of just like see what you thought or see if you could figure it out. That's why I like and have forced you to watch some of those new Poirot movies with the guy with the giant mustache that you either liked or hated. And I'm always down for a good murder mystery thriller, not the gory ones, but the ones that have a twist to them. So I'm a big fan. I've seen all of them like right when they came out. I still like the first Knives Out, or I liked the first Knives Out better than the second one, the weird Ed Norton one. Um, but that's my origin story. Dan, tell me about yours.
Very similar for me. We watched my family and I, or I'm sorry, my wife and I watched all three of them, and this was all on streaming though. So I saw the first Knives Out on streaming, and then obviously the Netflix. The last two have been on Netflix. I was like, why go to a movie theater when you could just watch it at home? Which I don't believe this one was released out in theaters, but the second one was. But kind of puzzling to me, like if you're going to go in on a series. I guess, there's some success with Netflix and the reasoning why they have like the Enola Holmes series, which was Netflix. So I'm not hating, but I would think that a cast like this for Wake Up Dead Man, along with the Glass Onion, would just be clearly in theaters. But maybe that's
This
just
was
in
in
the
theaters for
contract.
a short time.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
Netflix does like a limited release just so they can qualify
Oh, the
for
Oscars and
yeah,
stuff.
Oscars and award season. But yeah, this came out
Got it.
November 30th and hit Netflix streaming December 12th. So it's been out for a
Oh.
minute. So we're about to spoil the shit out of this for all of you angry listeners who don't like it when we spoil.
Not the most marketed movie though for theaters. You would think that they would really push it for theaters, unless maybe I just wasn't. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
might not
Did
be in
I?
the market. Like
I
I'm in the
guess.
Chicagoland area. You're in Florida. I didn't see it in theater. Like I didn't see it released in theaters.
Yeah, but you would think that they would be there on advertisements on our streaming services. That unless you're paying to go ad free, that you would get that. So
Oh,
I
I
didn't
go ad
see
free, baby.
a single one.
I'm ad free all the way.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Times are tough in this administration, so unfortunately, I've had to
Hey,
cut back on a few of
hey,
those.
I cut back on most of the services, but um, the ones I do, I have to ad free, or else I just, it's the worst.
As you should, as you should. But Mark, why don't we go ahead and do a deep dive into this movie? But before we get into that, I bet you the audience would love to hear a 2026 version of The Plot coming from you.
The plot. Um, there's an old priest and a young priest. One of them is exorcised from the church, and one of them is a good guy in the end. And there's a face punch, and randomly Benoit Blanc shows up for no reason other than I'm here. Surprise!
Okay, I am glad that you said that because I know that they even address that in the movie, and I don't quite get it. I didn't really quite understand why he did show up. Just to help those police out? Is that what it was? Like I'm so confused. Was it all a happenstance? Do you remember what it was?
I think they said that he was like traveling through the area, and somebody higher up in the government asked him to help out or something like that. Like somebody he knew sent him in, whether it's the government or the state police or something like that, um, to take care of this small town situation.
That sounds like a Chris Morgan Productions type writing right there.
It
Like
does. It does.
convenient throwaway line that explains everything because you just had to have the character show up. Chris Morgan, in case anyone is not familiar with who that is, he did write a majority of the Fast and the Furious movies. So he has his own production company. We just recently watched a movie with him and his production company heading that project. But yeah, anyways, but I'd like your plot synopsis because that's kind of what it was, right? Like I didn't really know where we were going. I know there was going to be a murder, hence the Knives Out mystery and all that stuff. But the priest, I liked the ride, but I wasn't quite sure as to, is this formulaic or is this kind of going to stray from the previous ones? And to my surprise, as things were being unfolded, I thought it was pretty different. What about you?
I think it was good. So there's things in all the Knives Out movies that are somewhat of an homage or there. I liked that this like tied into the book club and the Hollow Man, and they mentioned like the Roger Ackroyd murders and some of the other Agatha Christie movies, and they took from that because that's really what this is. It's semi satire because of the voice that Daniel Craig uses. Um, but it's also, just meant to take you on that journey that we don't get that much in movies anymore. The aha, the presentation, the j'accuse, if you will. So I liked the way this one ran through. I also liked this cast a lot more. Like there were some stars in the last one. Don't get me wrong. Everybody loves Dave Bautista, and the group that was on the island for the Ed Norton Knives Out. But this one, I mean, how can you go wrong with Brolin, Glenn Close, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington when the weak point is Mila Kunis? You're doing okay.
It's funny you say that because I feel like the cast in the second Knives Out was better, and arguably, I would say the first cast is also better than the second cast. But I don't know. I can kind of go a toss up in between.
I felt like the
But
second cast was more of a rom-com cast.
oh,
Like,
for sure. I mean, when you look at it that way, when you say
yeah,
it that way, 100%, I agree. But
but
I would
this,
think like the caliber of movies that Ed Norton has done, that in itself could probably beat almost every other person on this cast list, maybe with the exception of Renner, just because I thought Hurt Locker was amazing, and I mean I'm partial to the Avengers movies, so
I
I
mean,
would
don't
say
hate
that
on
his
Glenn
his gamut.
Close, man. Glenn Close in the 80s and 90s was pretty huge.
Yeah, but you know what? She wasn't a movie star that I was like, oh, Dad, Mom, can we go see that new Glenn Close movie? Like, never in my entire life have I
That's
ever
because
said
you're a
that.
dude. That's because you're a dude.
That's right.
Don't be a
That's
hater.
right. I am. But at the same time, I would love to hear anyone of our age saying that, like, oh, did you check out that new Glenn Close joint? I would really love to hear if you did. Because number one, I think you're lying. Number two, if you did, maybe you're the unicorn, the outlier, and that's okay. But I would still love to hear that story.
My only argument is the depth on both the first cast and the third cast, I think was more than the second one. You had Ed Norton and Kate Hudson, and then, I mean, there was a lot of great supporting comic relief actors in it. You had your Catherine Hahns, your Dave Batistas, Leslie Odom Jr. was in it. but you didn't have the same level of gravitas and depth that you had in the first one or in this
Sure.
one.
Sure. No, I guess you're correct on that. But yeah, either way, I think they do a good job of bringing in an amalgamation of people that are there, and then that kind of comes into this story, and everyone gels so well, or there's friction that goes really well. So I think this cast, you have a really interesting way that there is that friction of, um, Josh O'Connor's character, is it Father Judd? Is that his name, Father
Father
Judd?
Judd.
Yeah. So, not he doesn't seem to be very likable, and for some reason, the cast of the townspeople make him likable. Like everyone in that
Yeah.
town is
I
not
mean,
really likable, and they make like, oh, Father Judd's like a really nice guy and a good actor all of a sudden, you know?
I mean, when you say not likable and you don't first mention Brolin in this movie, I mean, oh my God. I thought Thanos was an evil villain. This guy was fucking hateable.
I disagree because I
What?
think, with actors that you like, even though they are playing a bad character, you kind of root for that. And that's what I was getting at with Brolin. I love the fact that he just, like the first time Father Judd hears his confession, he just talks about how much he beat off. It's just ridiculous. It's so funny to me. And it's just like, yeah, this guy doesn't give a flying F. And this is how it is. Like he's being a bros priest. That's what I would imagine him as. Like he's just the bro priest, Like he's down for anything, but he knows God's going to forgive him, so he'll just confess, and
But
that's just what he does.
but I think you also get to the point where you figure out that he was lying about the whole thing because
Don't most priests? So
Touché. um
no, no. Am I too soon? Too
no,
soon for the
not too
Catholic
soon.
Church?
Never too soon. I just thought that was that the fact that he just started with deception straight out the gate. Um I really thought it was really thought it was funny. And then the fact that he was very focused on Monsignor and making them call him Monsignor
Oh, that's
versus
his name.
father, even though
Respect.
the only person that can give you went to Catholic school, so I'm assuming you know this, that Monsignor is an honorary title given by the Pope. And
He
there's no
deserves it.
way that
Thanos
guy met
deserves
the
it.
Pope.
Yeah, but like that's okay because I feel like I at no point am I hating him. I'm just
No.
loving the fact that he's such an antagonist because he's gonna bend it to his own will, his own way, his rules, and that's kind of just what I liked about him. So I totally understand. Like if you did no movie research and never watched any movie with Josh Brolin in it, you would probably have that effect that you have, like where it's like, I hate this guy. Who the hell is this? Who does he think he is? I have a little bit of, I won't say starstruck appeal for it, but it's just like I like Brolin as an actor, and I've seen him play shady characters, and to me, this doesn't even seem that shady. It just seems like very Catholic. That's just what it seems
Yes,
like
it
to
is
me.
very Catholic. I thought that it was a spot on representation of how Catholicism is weaponized in society. And that's why I see him as a villain, because he's taking every advantage to be holier than thou, pun intended, right? To put the new priest in the corner, to rebuke. He doesn't care about the size of his flock as long as they're fervent. And he
Yeah,
has, he's just guilt and shaming everybody. His
and
whole
that's how you Catholic.
like that is, I mean, when the goal is to get him to walk out, like that's such a Norm Macdonald-esque approach to comedy. But in like how bad could I make people feel? It's like the opposite of what I don't want to get into a like a debate about scripture. You and I both know I don't want to talk about that, but I think that the underlying message in the actual scripture is like uplifting versus weaponizing guilt and shame. And that's to me is the villainesque of this and the reason that we're all happy that he died in the movie.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how that kind of played out for everything. I had no idea it was going to be such a high volume religious theme throughout the movie. And yeah, you can kind of turn a blind eye to it, but it's kind of hard because he's a freaking priest or a monsignor, if you would say.
Hmm.
So that's the thing that's a little bit deceiving because going into this, I was not expecting any religion whatsoever. I do love the fact that Benoit Blanc just completely challenges it and calls it out of how silly he
Hmm.
believes that religion is just in general. So I was like, interesting take, Rian Johnson. So you just love to ruffle feathers. And these are feathers that I'm okay and 100% fine with ruffling. But however, you do that with Star Wars, there's a problem for some reason to me. I don't know. That's just how weird I operate on it. But did you have any thoughts on that at all between like the religious aspect? And do you feel yourself like you were okay with it more so than Rian Johnson fucking with Star Wars?
So I like the Knives Out movies, and I feel like they follow a very respectable cadence to the murder mysteries that they're meant to homage, right? The brilliant detective and the conversations and the detecting and all that, like that works for me. The reason I think that The Last Jedi got such a terrible review rate is because it did things that that have never been represented from a Star Wars perspective, right? Like taking off into hyperspace and flying space Leia and force projection of Luke and things like that. Like things that were never introduced at a level of mass consumption. So I think that's a completely different debate on whether whether stewards of franchises should take excessive license or should be respectful to the universe as it was presented to them, right? Like how much fan fiction can you add versus coloring within the lines? That's a completely different argument, if you will. And I think that's what ruffled feathers with The Last Jedi. Not that it was like if you break down the story points of it and the arc in points, right? Like Leia has the skill to escape capture and destruction. Luke sacrifices himself in his own way for the cause and lights the fire of hope and that's that aligns to the arc, but the way you depicted the arc was kind of fucked up. Um I do think it was really like sweet in The Last Jedi, the Luke scene where they kept showing Kylo's feet and like trying to get you to sixth sense it, like he's really dead. That's why it's so cold and nobody else sees Bruce Willis. That's why you don't see Luke's footprints because he's not really there, right? So I do think there are good parts of The Last Jedi. Don't get me wrong, but there's also like again when you take excessive creative license with a beloved thing, everybody's going to get pissed about it. And I've been rewatching Star Wars movies with my 4-year-old son. He loves it. He's finally there. It's like the best time ever. Um, and in rewatching some of them at the detail, you're like, wow, this really just is the episode. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, we're literally hitting the exact same plot points. So in some ways, deviation is good, but excessive deviation is where I think we that movie ran aground a bit or jumped the shark, if you will.
So you were talking about just reviews of it. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a comparison. So we've got Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery, currently a 92% Rotten Tomatoes, 7.5 IMDb, and 66% of Google users liked this movie. Now, going to The Last Jedi, directed by Rian Johnson, similar numbers, 91% Rotten Tomatoes score, so good with the critics, 6.8 on IMDb, So fair to slightly on that higher scale. And then 68% of Google users like that movie. Surprised? Not surprised? I don't know. It's very consistent with it. I never would have thought of looking at a Knives Out movie compared to the Last Jedi, a Star Wars movie, but it's interesting of how with that creative licensing and all that stuff of what you're trying to do with the characters. It's interesting that they're both kind of very similar because you've got a religion that is ridiculous, silly, uh, that people hated that movie, and now you have this movie with or I'm sorry, the Last Jedi previously. So it's like you've got two movies kind of based on religion essentially, because I mean, let's face it,
Mhm.
Star Wars is very religious in terms of some of the themes and the undertones and overtones in some aspects. But then you've got Knives Out, which you're just talking about some murder, and then you throw in religion in there, and kind of similar. I bet there were people watching this movie that they didn't like it because they were kind of needling and poking religion, which why not? Why can't you do that? Like I feel like you should be able to creatively make a piece of art, and it's subjective. You don't have to take it as as offensively as you may to be, and maybe it does offend, but at the same time, I think it's interesting that people get more butthurt about Star Wars than they do about actual religion, and that's me. So
Yeah. The only thing that that this Knives Out movie is missing is a Muppet. That's where The Last Jedi really killed it for me. They had a Muppet in it.
did they have a broom, like a kid grabbing a broom somewhere? Because if they did, then that's definitely a theme for Rian Johnson. But who
That
knows?
was that was that wasn't The Last Jedi. That was The Rise of Skywalker, my friend.
Oh, that was Last Jedi. He grabbed the broom. He force grabbed the broom at the end of the movie.
I thought that was
That
The
was the
Rise of
whole thing.
Skywalker.
No, that was the whole thing about the Last Jedi. Is like
Hmm.
anyone could be a fucking Jedi. You could be some fucking no name on a slave planet, and you could be a Jedi. That was the thing where it's like, no, you kind of have to have whether it's if you believe in the whole midichlorian thing or you subscribe to it, or if you're just like, oh, you just need to be a Skywalker or someone in the
Well, no, I mean
Palpatine family.
the lore is that force sensitive people are born on every world, and that the Jedi would collect them, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're
So
special people, not just you can really will yourself to be a Jedi. And that's kind of what it was
for
for the
some
Last
folks,
Jedi, the
yeah.
kind of the critique of it, where it's like, who the fuck is this rando kid just sweeping? And then he just uses a force grab like it's nothing, like it's a regular Tuesday afternoon, and you just want to go to Taco Bell and get some food. Like, no way, this makes sense. So I
I
think
disagree.
it's where it's like very similar, in my opinion, to where people are may have that qualm and an issue
Mhm.
with Wake Up Dead Man. But when we talk about this movie overall, is there something that kind of really sticks out to you? Like, is there one scene that just basically rules them all?
I think that there's a couple of good scenes in this movie for me, and but the so I'm gonna give you the one that made me laugh the most, and the one I thought was shot the best. The one that made me laugh the most, hands down, was when they were whitewashing the the um the crypt because somebody spray painted a bunch of dicks on it.
Oh, rocket ships. They put rocket
Rocket
ships on
chips.
it.
Yeah, and Glenn Close said they were rocket chips, which was also great. But I'm just like, who spray paints a bunch of dicks on something? That was hilarious. That stuck out. I thought it was great. But the other scene that I really liked also centered around the crypt, and I thought that the way that the the resurrection scene versus they kept coming back to the same area from different angles and really attacked it. And I thought that I thought it was weird about the placement of the crypt and why are we showing this? And they used it. They used that set piece very well, almost like a play. Like this is an
Yeah.
odd place for a crypt to be on a hill with another building there, but they made that, you know, they used that, acre of land extensively within the plot point. So I liked that. I thought that that scene altogether with the sliding and the mud and the Josh Brolin or not Josh Brolin coming out of the crypt, I thought that that was all pretty solid. But
I think
without the
for
dick scene where they tell you about the door that can be pushed out, you're not gonna get the scene later. So one sets up the other.
I think for me, it had to be, oh gosh, Father Judd's just kind of confession saying as to what he had done. Like I said, I didn't really like him as a character, but as things kind of unfolded, it's like because of he's in this shitty situation, but also he's like a real dude. Like he killed someone in the ring. He was a boxer, so he lets Jesus Christ, saying the Lord's name in vain, fly. So I began to like him more and more each scene. But during his confession, he does display some great acting range. And so that just really impressed me. I was like, oh shit, I might have to see more with this guy in it because yeah, he's a little quirky, he's a little strange, but I think he nailed this part. And it shows the fact that he does have his own acting depth and he's able to kind of portray something in different facets all in one movie. So I was good with that. That scene was pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, he's like a classically. We're talking about Josh O'Connor,
Yeah, yeah.
who was a classically trained English actor and won. He won an Emmy for The Crown playing Prince Charles
Oh,
back in
probably
like
why I haven't seen him.
2021.
Yeah, okay.
I
That
haven't
makes
watched The
sense.
Crown at all, but that's apparently where where like his biggest piece, and he's done more since then. But like that's where he's gotten accolades, and that makes sense as to why he fits into this cast. Because for me, I agree, he was a good actor. He displayed some great range. I did not get an English accent from him at all, even though he is English. But like you put him in with all these heavy hitters, and he held his own. I thought,
Yeah. And
he was the
I'm taking a look at his IMDb right now. He's got so many nominations for
yeah,
awards, and he
like
has a lot of
30
awards.
something.
So maybe my apologies to Josh O'Connor, but I guess he is a heavy hitter in his own right. It's just I'm not familiar with him. So
I mean,
all
I
good though.
would liken him in this movie to Ana de Armas in the first Knives Out movie because I don't remember her pre Knives Out, and maybe Josh O'Connor's going to be in a John Wick movie in 6 years, 8 years. You
Maybe
never know.
maybe he'll be the priest. Maybe we haven't
Oh,
had too
there you
much of
go.
that would be kind of interesting. But
Mm.
no, that's yeah. So that was my pick for the one scene to rule them all. It's he just really impressed me with his acting ability, and I dig it. I dig it. I dig his character. But overall, like when you're kind of going through this movie, what were some of the things that just worked for you, and then also what didn't work?
So Brolin worked for me in a big way. Like I felt the villainy we were supposed to feel for this person. Um, there were some things in this movie though that like I'm a connoisseur of detective movies. I really enjoy them. I watch them. I rewatch them, every few years because, I enjoy the journey. I think that the setup for some of the small things we were supposed to figure out was not as good as I'd want it to be. Like when they
Mm,
said that he would drink in the hallway, I was like, was he a big drink? Did they represent him as a drunk or just that he would go have a beer? Like I
yeah.
didn't put that together in it. Um, I so some of the setup didn't work for me. But
Some more of that Chris Morgan writing, if you will.
but that could be on the cutting room floor somewhere. They could have told him 2 hours and out, like, do not make a fucking Scorsese movie in on Netflix here because this movie could have been bigger. I'm sure. I'm sure there are some great scenes cut out of this, especially with this cast. Like, no. I have a love hate relationship with Mila Kunis, right? Like, shut up, Meg, in a very big way, but she's also very good. I've got a feeling that the part that she played was much bigger in conception and probably like if I had to pick a place where there was some cut, I think that Mila got cut a decent amount from this, right? Um, but I really do think that some of the setup could have been better. The cut may have taken some of that out. But the thing that really worked for me, as opposed to didn't, was how they tied the old and new together, and the way they did the twist at the end, where Glenn Close gave her confession and really unwound everything.
So I like that as well, but that's also one of my things that didn't work for me. And the reasoning as to why is because I had to rewatch the confession about 3 times
The
because I
Glenn Close one?
thought, yeah, because I thought one thing, like I watched it once, I was like, okay, yeah, that was good. That was really good. And then I was like, well, wait a second though. I thought that Father Judd had stabbed him because that's what he had said. And so then like I had to go back and see like, okay, I'm right on that. He never even touched him, but that was part like they showed that to where that's what he confessed to, right? So that was one of the things to where it's like, huh, that's kind of confusing. So I thought it didn't tidied it up, but it still left a lot of questions in my mind, just kind of second guessing, like, well, wait a second, did I am I just kind of missing it to where it's like, oh, he's just trying to protect the legacy of the church, not necessarily him per se, but it was confusing for me. I liked and really appreciated her acting, Glenn Close's acting in that scene, and also the unveiling of like, oh yeah, this is how it actually happened. This is why you saw that resurrection. Totally got that. So I agree with you on that 100%. It just wasn't clean enough for me. Just like how you were talking about, like the setup wasn't there. I don't think the explanation was clean enough for me because it was just kind of very diluted and confusing because you saw stuff that didn't really happen, but at the time it's portrayed as it actually happened. You know what
Yeah,
I
they
mean?
filled
Like
in the
that's
gaps. They filled in the gaps on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that'd be my only thing.
yeah, and the more you say that, and talking about scenes and stuff that were cut out of this, I really didn't like. I think, and I don't know this, and I haven't found anything on the internet that says this, but I didn't feel great motive from Jeremy Renner on why he would stab him and kill him and drug him and all that. I, for the longest time watching it, was thinking that Sai was the illegitimate child of Brolin and Jeremy Renner's estranged wife.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't do that. I don't know but it didn't turn out that way. But I thought that he had some kind of thing about his wife or something. Like I thought they were going to build that in, and I didn't get the why the stabby stabby from Jeremy Renner. Like I didn't
Yeah,
feel it enough.
that's what I was confused about
Yeah.
it. Like that's like, does he really have motive to kill him? And like, what was the point of poison? This is, and I know some people are probably listening, like,
Mhm.
dummy, you just said it. Like they talked about it at the end of the movie. That's why it happened. Well, no, I was confused at like what were his motives and like why would he stab him? Like I thought that that wasn't planned like initially. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh wait, no, it was planned, but it wasn't till after that he got greedy and he wanted to keep,
Yeah, the
the
stone.
gem for himself. So that's where I was just like, huh, watched it 3 times, no joke, and kind of had to rewind back a few different times. Like, all right, I want to make sure I'm understanding this properly. So yeah, I feel you on that. I don't disagree. But like for my hot take on it, I would say that Brolin wasn't that bad of a guy in this one. Monsignor was not that bad of a guy to deserve being killed. Did he go about things the right way as a priest should? No, but at the same time, that was not a religion, or at least a practicing religion of Catholicism, in my opinion. To me, that was just a cult. And that's what cult leaders do. They do weird shit and they do it to their benefit and they hold stuff over their followers' heads. So I don't know. I didn't think he was that bad of a character or that bad of a guy, I should say. Did he deserve to be killed? Mm, eh, did he? I don't think so.
Mhm.
That's my hot
I,
take.
it is a hot take. Um, my hot take is that there's got to be more to Thomas Hayden Church's character, the groundskeeper guy. Like
You don't just
they're
smack
in
someone on the ass. There's some history there.
there's some history there, and like he's a Cubs fan because they were watching Cubs games the whole movie, right? Like that's
I
what
didn't
they
notice
showed.
that. No,
That's what
that's
they
funny.
showed on his TV, and I'm like, he's from Chicago. Is he like a mafioso or was he in hiding? And like all of that. Like, is that who Benoit Blanc was really looking for? But he didn't know who he was, or like like witness protection or something. Like, is that why Benoit Blanc got called in?
That's
And
funny
in
that
the
you
end,
say
he
that. It's funny you
died.
noticed it.
In the end, he was dead. So,
Yeah.
oh well.
Well, we talked a few different things. Do you have any other recasts that you would do for this movie before we kind of go into like what our final thoughts are for everything?
So it's been said before, but I will say it again. I do like the Knives Out movies. I hope they continue. I hope he's not done with three. But my big like they're gonna run out of heavy hitters to cast in these, and I cannot say loud enough that they should do a Knives Out Muppet movie. Like you bring in Benoit Blanc with some Muppets and a few other like, human entrants, but good Lord, that would be amazing.
If that was longer than 30 minutes, I'd be disappointed. I don't know. I don't think I
Oh
could
no.
watch
Full length
Muppets going through a
feature
murder
film there,
mystery.
baby. A la Muppet
Full length,
Christmas Carol.
full length, or you're talking about like barely 90 minutes with credits.
Oh no, like 2 hours of Muppet Murder
Oof.
Mystery.
I don't know if I
With
could take Miss Piggy
with
for that long, man.
with
Seriously.
Gonzo
Unless
and
she's the one who
Rizzo
got killed.
helping Benoit Blanc search it out, and Miss
Ugh.
Piggy could be the killer.
Ugh.
Like you just got to do it, man. You got to get
He
the
is
Muppets
a
involved in this.
he is a killer on the regular Muppets show. It's just such violence, such hate, such disdain towards other people. Ugh. It's
I mean,
disgusting. Miss Piggy, you're disgusting.
mm,
Uh,
oh.
but I'm a Muppet Babies fan. I've said this on multiple times, multiple episodes. If
What about
I
you?
had a
Any
re,
casting changes or anybody you want to see in another Knives Out movie?
you know what I would love to do just to recast this will never happen, but I just love the idea of this. I don't know if you've ever watched the mockumentary Kunk on Earth. Philomena Kunk, actress Diane Morgan is the person who plays the character Philomena Kunk, and she is just like an English version of Borat. It's fucking hilarious. She's just like this dumbass that says the most random things, and then all of a sudden, uh, Technotronic Pump Up the Jam plays. Like that's the type of humor that I would like. But I'd love to see her idiocracy, if you will, as Benoit Blanc, but still capable of solving murders. That's what I would love to see. Just like who you would think is an idiot, but is super smart, super observant, and just happens to appear like an idiot savant.
Man, now I have to watch this.
It's great. Kunk
Oh,
on Earth, and I believe there's also like a
Con Con
I don't know if
Life.
it's a movie. Yep, Kunk on Life is another one. It's really, really good. You should definitely check it out. Think of it as a cleaner version of Borat. Like think of the HBO days, and I highly enjoy it. And there's just think of like Borat meets an English woman meets Family Guy, and that's what that is.
I
It's good
mean,
stuff.
listeners, watch out. There may be an episode on this.
It's hey, I'm
It's
here for
episode
it.
worthy.
All right, what else you got for us, Mark? Anything else you want to talk about?
There is one thing. I know I mentioned the Muppets, but if they don't get Harrison Ford into one of these movies, because now he just does everything openly, like, let's go. Let's
Okay,
go. Harrison
I can see
Ford
that.
headlines the next Knives Out cast. Because
All
if
right.
anybody's watched the Shrinking show on Netflix, Harrison Ford is amazing in it. And we are in a Harrison Ford renaissance right now. You get Short Round in it too. Bring them together. Oh, so much good stuff.
So we didn't really talk about Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc this time around. What are your thoughts on him as the lead character? And besides him just showing up as a rando, like completely by chance, what do you think about his portrayal in this movie in comparison to the other ones?
The long hair threw me off in this one. I don't remember him having the long hair in the other ones. Um, but regardless, I'm okay with the the what's the
How
right word to
convenient
use?
he
No,
he came in.
I mean, as somebody who's read or listened to a bunch of the Hercule Poirot books and all the Agatha Christie movies, I'm okay with the eccentric detective. I also think that any character that has that level of attention to detail is going to be eccentric. You're not going to find a normal person, like normal being a construct. Um, that's just there. So I don't mind the Colonel Sanders aspect of it. I think it's hilarious, but I also thought that the Johnny Depp detective in Tusk was hilarious. Hashtag Walrus, yes. So I'm all for, like, it can be comic relief as long as the rest of the movie can carry it, which I definitely think all of these can.
I like that he was basically just there to walk things through. Like he knew what all the possibilities were for the most part. It wasn't until like the whole Glenn Close unveiling of everything. Like he knew then, but he's such a smart guy. So I don't know how I feel about the main character knowing what happened, just kind of like a almost like a parent in gotcha mode or like a manager in gotcha mode, right? Like like I'm just gonna let this play out. I'm gonna see how often this person lies to me or how often they tell the truth. Like I feel like that's a very shitty thing to do, but at the same time, that's coming from a work perspective. But his portrayal is good. Is it's solid. You know, it's like you either like him or you hate him because I think that there is, like he says a lot of things that are very insensitive, but at the same time, I think that's funny. I'd like insensitive, smart, know-it-all guys, but they still have a passion for getting to the truth or the justice of the situation. So, yeah, I liked him in the other ones. I think my favorite outburst of his is in the second one, the religious one being a very close second in this movie. So, yeah, I'm happy with his performance. I like that Daniel Craig has a role that I enjoy other than James Bond. Like I like him in other movies as well, but at the same time, like from a franchise aspect of it, it's cool to see my James Bond as a Southern fried detective.
Yeah, no, the Foghorn Leghorn bit is great. And as much as the internet is Martha by it, I am not.
Yeah, I don't know why they are. God, it's called acting.
They're haters.
Hate,
They're
hate, hate, hate,
haters.
hate,
Let the
hate.
British guy be Colonel Sanders. Who cares?
I don't know who cares, Mark, but I know someone who does care about your opinion. It's all those listeners. Mark, when it comes to Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, can you do this all day?
I can. I was because of the lack of fanfare for this for its release, I didn't realize it was coming out until 2 days beforehand, or 3 days beforehand. I was like, oh, awesome. Um, I didn't have as much anticipation, but I was happily surprised. Brolin owned this movie for me. And Glenn Close, also, like, I love a good Glenn Close. She's in the background a lot. I loved her on The West Wing, for the few episodes she was in, but she's underrated, I think, and I think they brought out the heat in this movie in a big way. Um, and I like it. I'll watch it again. I watched it by myself, so I got to make my wife watch it, and I'd rewatch it tonight if she would be down. So it's not something I'm going to leave on the shelf for a while. Once it would, like any mystery, once you learn the turns of it, it's not something you could throw on a lot, but it wins the knife. It qualifies in the Knives Out category for me of fully rewatchable. I would rank them Knives Out one and this very neck and neck, and then the the and then Glass Onion would be my third, just because the Bezosy kind of Steve Jobsy person doesn't do it for me. But enough about me, Dan. Let's talk about you and your thoughts on Wake Up Dead Man. Can you do this all day?
It's close. It's a very razor thin decision on this one, but I'm going to lean towards yes. And it's not because there's really stuff that marthed me or anything like that. Really the only thing that marthed me in this movie is the fact that it wasn't really clear cut and dry for me. Like I had to go back and think, but that's also a positive about it. So the hypocrisy is strong with this one, and we're gonna kick off, one of the first few episodes of 2026 with some hypocrisy, and I think there needs to be more hypocrisy in this world. So that's why I'm gonna throw my fair share of it out there. But yeah, the reasoning as to why is because it's a solid movie. Do I not like Rian Johnson because he shit on Star Wars? Yes. But am I going to hold that against him to this movie? No. It's very similar in lore. I think the hypocrisy is very strong in that aspect because, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people think Star Wars is a religion. Well, here's an actual religion where we're kind of poking fun at it, and there's plenty of times where it's talked about how ridiculous it is. However, I feel like Rian Johnson kind of listened to some of that harsh criticism from Star Wars and just been like, well, I can't completely shit on religion, so I'm gonna have a few scenes where it is, still mystical and magical and something worthy to believe in. So I thought that was really powerful, especially for something like religion, to where you can hate things very quickly if you say one wrong thing about it, right? I'm sure this episode will probably piss some people off just by maybe the sound bits that get out there. But I feel like it's a challenge to take a subject matter like that and make it entertaining, make it meaningful, but also make it impactful to the audience. I really felt for Father Judd and his whole thing with trying to make sure that people still believed in the church, and we wouldn't want to muddy the church's reputation or the religion's reputation, if you will, just because of this one bad apple. We'll make him be a martyr, but at the same time, we're not going to make him look any worse to anyone else who does not know within that community. So that's pretty deep, like I dig it. I liked it, and I like the humor in it. My MVP for that movie has to be Josh O'Connor. It's Josh, I'm going to check out some stuff for you. So you're going to be a future friend of the podcast. I know you will. So yes, Mark, I can do this all day.
First review of the year. First double yes of the year. Let's go.
We may have said that about Glass Onion. I don't remember if we if we said we could do that all day. Who knows? But hey, the hypocrisy is strong and history is bound to repeat itself. So those are two constants in the world and in this podcast. So that wraps it up for this episode of the I Can Do This All Day podcast. I'm Dan, the Part-Time Avenger. That's Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Don't forget, y'all, like, subscribe. We will not bombard you with judgment or hellfire. We'll just give you movie opinions. So at I Can Do This All Day podcast on all of your socials, 5-star reviews, welcome, or any reviews. Give us some love in the comments, or any thoughts, any movies you think we should review, anything we should add to our list for 2026. It's good to see you in this new year. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.